obviously that's where the basement is, hello. And I heard a giant knock. And it was enough that it made the dogs bark. So that was a little unsettling. And of course, it was so unsettling that I was afraid to go back downstairs because the area that we let the dogs out to use the bathroom is through a door downstairs, and I was afraid to go back into the basement. And we've never had any weird energy in this house. And I don't plan on having any soon. So, on that note, I'm feeling a little uneasy today, and I don't know why, but I've got my Palo Santo spray, so we surround ourselves with light and with love, and only things that come from light and love may be in this home, and anything that is not from God, from God's light, God's love, must leave now. Thank you, bye. So that was kind of a weird thing that happened. Separately, I bought a candle from a little culture shop locally. They make their own candles, which is really cool. And the candle that I bought is called an Uncrossing Candle. And uncrossing is actually a term that I believe when I looked it up before is used in voodoo, and I don't practice voodoo. I'm not well versed in voodoo, but I am spiritual. And isn't that what it's all about? Figuring it all out, right? So basically, from my understanding, this uncrossing candle helps to cut ties with any negative energy that you've absorbed from other people in passing, or if someone has put any type of curse or ill will, has wished any ill will towards you. It separates you from those things, any of the nasty, icky, sticky things that have just attached from you in day-to-day life. It gets rid of them. And that was a pretty terrifying experience. At the time, I never, and I still don't know that I necessarily correlated to the candle, but weird nonetheless. I experienced some very vivid dreams that I did not write down, so of course I don't remember, but I do remember having some very vivid dreams. About a week into burning this candle, I went to light it and saw something in the wax, and there was a dead fly in the candle. What does that mean? I don't know. Why don't we look up, is there symbolism in dead flies? Because this is not the only dead fly in my story. Usually, the vision of a dead fly symbolizes the opposite of the living creature's messages and warnings. So while the living fly is usually interpreted as a symbol that you need to be ready to make abrupt changes, move quickly, keep on going, and be adaptable, the dead fly may be telling you the exact opposite. That's according to symbolism and metaphor.com. Okay, and this is weird. Oh, yikes, it's a giant fly. Have you seen dead flies in your house? Dead flies can represent a number of different things. They could be an omen, or they could just be present for no reason at all. Associated with decay and death, they may be representing some sort of bad luck or negative situation that needs to be dealt with immediately. It's just weird. So that was the first odd situation that I had, and then a week after that, I got into my bed, and I looked next to me, and there was a dead fly next to me in bed. I've not even seen flies flying around my house, you guys. I've not even seen them flying around my house, so I don't know where they came from. Obviously they got in, but it's just odd that all of this happened while burning this candle. It's just weird. But overall, I do feel like the whole point of burning the candle was working for me anyway. So I don't know if that has to do with working on a paranormal project or not. But then I went down the wormhole of movies and TV shows that have had odd things happen on set. One rumor while working and living in the lovely city of Los Angeles, I think Annabelle was filmed at Universal. I could be wrong, but the stage that they filmed Annabelle on is reportedly haunted. And yeah, and just weird things would happen on set. The director even admits that there were strange things happening on set, and when things would go wrong, they would just blame it on the doll. But a lot of people also avoided the doll. They just had really bad feelings from it. Some of the other things that happened, demonic symbols on the set would appear in crew hotel rooms, miles away from set. Strange accidents would happen, missing crucifixes, remaining members of the Warren family. So, Ed and Lorraine Warren, some of the OGs of ghost hunting, their characters are in this movie. If you don't know, you probably know. And some of the remaining members of their family started blessing the sets on the director's request. And they would have priests on sets just to bless the sets because things were just getting a is very active right now as I'm trying to record, of course, so I apologize. So, my office was in an area that was used as a little nursing home unit, like right before they closed that section down. And it was only used about 3 years. I think it only closed down about 3 years ago. The first day that I was up there all by myself for most of the day. And several times I heard what sounded like breathing, like if someone has a face mask, oxygen mask on. Wow, so good with my words. And it was the sound when someone breathes in, so it's like, it was just the first part, like, I heard that probably at least 3 times that day, and there's no one there. I was sitting at the little nurse's station. At one point that day, I saw in my peripheral vision someone standing in the doorway of one of the rooms. And the next day, I was back at the nurse's station and I saw someone peeking around the corner of the nurse's station at me in my peripheral. But the moment I looked up, no one was there. So I felt like maybe they were checking me out. And over the course of a couple weeks that I was there, usually on those floors there are buttons in rooms, or there are pulleys in the bathrooms if someone needs help, and it alerts the nurse's station. And that alert would go off at the nurse's station 2 to 3 times a day, each day, and never at the same time. Always just random times of the day, and there was no one up there. This hospital also was obvious. Some of the people that worked there had told me that they had worked there when it was an open hospital, and there was a room that no one wanted to ever stay in. And that room was 1 floor above where I was working, but it was in the same wing, not far from where I was working, directly above. And apparently someone had unfortunately hung themselves in that room. And ever since that happened, any patients that were in that room would request to be removed from the room. Not knowing any of the previous history of the room, they just knew they wanted to leave. Odd, right? The other thing that happened while I was there is, and it happened a lot towards the end, but any floor that I was on, it was the same elevator every time. The elevator would open before I would even get to it on the floor I was on. Yes, that's my dog again. It got to the point, on the last, week that I was there, I would walk up and the elevator would just open as I was walking towards it, and I began to just say, hey, thank you. Because if there's an elevator ghost, they had my back, especially every time my hands were full. I didn't even have to think about it. The elevator just opened, so I was just like, hey, thanks. Thank you so much. That's so nice. Oh my god. Do I get into this elevator? I mean, it would be rude not to, right? I very much apologize for the extra noise this evening because my very frustrated little critter really dark internal issues. And they had to do an exorcism on his house. And they even had like mediums in his house. And one of the mediums said that there was a little girl in his room who was there to protect him. But he said that this activity began amping up when he and his father were working on a house close by. They were working on renovations, and they broke into a wall, and he was wearing a mask, and his father was not. And he said that this black dust came out of the wall, and his dad began coughing and choking. And not long after that, his dad began to have health problems, which, just with the timing, is very odd. And he began to act out of character. And he also said that in this house, as they were renovating, they found Bibles, crucifixes, and all kinds of strange things in the walls. But he said that he's pretty sure that opening that wall let something out that then began to affect his family. The conversation got crazy, like really deep, but he said, like, I believe in all that stuff, and I believe that evil is real, and I believe that there's good as well. And I mean, it was a very interesting and enlightening conversation. So I'm here to share it with you. So if you have any ghost stories that you'd like me to share, I'd be more than stoked to share it. And I think next time when I come back, I'm gonna have you help me pick out some ghost hunting equipment and some items that we'll be using to experiment when we go to this haunted hotel next month. And I'll even tell you some of the fun stories from that hotel. So, until next time, namaste, and good night. Don't let the ghost bite.